Now, speaking of large organizations, the traditionals, I think the crypto exchanges, it's fair to say, play a huge role in this side of the industry. And I've got a few follow-up questions I actually wanted to ask you, Philip, and that is, how can these exchanges tackle the darker side of the industry? We've kind of been simmering away through this conversation. What can these exchanges actually do to tackle that part of the industry?
And I'm sure by the time most of your viewers are seeing this, well, there will be a lot of dissection and analysis of the recent implosions.
Yes.
Namely, the Celsius, FTX, which is still very, 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 very fresh. Was just a few days ago. But I think the major issue that a lot of the exchanges, a lot of the companies in the space are facing is that it's a sort of chicken and egg type scenario where, because there are still no clear regulations, a lot of players feel that, well, we don't need to necessarily adhere to the other existing regulations that would normally surround financial institutions. So therefore, they kind of bend the rules. They stretch the envelope, stretch the limits of things, and the farther out on a branch you get, the more precarious your position becomes, and then any little volatility anywhere else is magnified significantly. And it's the kind of thing where a small correction in interest rates or market correction that would normally barely affect a traditional centralized finance institution that has capital requirements in place and has very tight regulations in place. By the time you kind of stretch those ripples of those changes out to the crypto exchanges that may be over leveraged or not capitalized properly, those little ripples become tsunamis. And that's why we're starting to see a lot of these things. To your point, how do we prevent this? Well, at heart, I'm a libertarian. I'm also a lawyer by education, the securities lawyer. And ironically, I do believe that we should have the least amount of regulation, which is absolutely necessary in order to see a well-functioning and secure marketplace. But the reality is that we live in a world where there have to be boundaries, there have to be rules, and I firmly believe that once we see very, very clear, very concise, and complete, holistic regulatory schema or landscape defined in the U.S. and other major financial centers of the world, once we see those regulations truly defined and institutions, large institutions, the major banks, the major insurers, the major broker dealers in the CFI space, once they see that they have the green light, a regulatory green light, and sort of the stamp of approval that yes, crypto is okay, and this is not going to come down on you in 6 months with a new law, a new rule that's going to catch you off guard. Once they feel confident in the stability of the regulatory regime, regulatory schema, I truly believe we're going to see a massive, of historic proportions inflow of assets into the crypto space. I really do.